dialed in to Bucks and Brews, you might hear something you can use. Like tips on your cash or tips on the suds. You're gonna want to use the smarts of these studs. Cause they know the brews, and they know the Bucks, and they know they can't help the stubborn fucks. So listen up, cause shit's not funny. And save yourself some beer money. Bucks and Brews.
Bucks and
Bucks and Brews.
Bucks and Brews.
Welcome back to Bucks and Brews. Nick is not with us, but he is with us today because we had a little snafu.
Yeah. Say,
So
birthday weeks are not always the greatest weeks, man.
Well, they're tough when you have your wife change her schedule and then you forget at 6 o'clock.
Yeah. So her birthday's Thursday. Basically, she attempted to cram everything into a 3-day period, which impacts us, right? So we wouldn't have been able to get on until, who knows, 7:30 at some point. So
we only have limited. I know we only have limited time with Jim, but he came in because him and I have been playing with an idiot online, and then we have somebody that's been talking to me about crypto on TikTok, and maybe she'll call in because I'm not talking investments unless she calls in.
Right.
So
what are you boys drinking?
So I finished my Black Butte already because I was waiting on you from the shoot. I have a Heineken 0.0, and then I have the Paulaner Weissen Radler.
There you go.
I have the same. I'm going in reverse order and probably halfway through this.
You got my friend.
I wish this conversation could happen. I have a
Cam call.
Cam number calling right now. I wish it would have been able to be heard. I should have put it on speaker once it worked. We should have tried it. So I'm drinking for my birthday. I was gifted KBS. I was gifted KBS hazelnut, and I got a few of those, and then Pigeon Hill oatmeal cream pie.
Oh, it's so good.
Yeah, so I have a few, and then of course because I'm at home, I literally just have everything right at my fingertips. So I'm pretty excited about this one.
So, little feedback from last week. Talked to Brent again. He had an absolutely great time.
Good.
So I know he's excited to come on with Ben next time, and we're excited because we got a bunch more questions that we forgot to get to last week.
Well, we didn't, a guy who wanted to be there an hour only gave us 2.
Yeah, exactly. Like 2 hours and 15 minutes. But so that was a good thing. I found my scammer again. She's going by a new name now, so I'm trying to engage, but she doesn't seem to want to talk to anybody.
Oh, that's too bad.
It's odd for a scammer.
It is. And then Jim has a fun story.
And scammer?
Yeah, I want to get into Gray Hang.
Okay.
Gray Hang, who pisses and moans that other people don't use their real names. Gray Hang.
Yeah, obvious.
Yeah. So, tell us a little about your new friend, Jim.
Well, he's one of the he's a young guy, appears to be anyway. Could be a Russian bot for all I know, but it does actually legitimately appear to be from the other side of Michigan, from the east side, from Romeo. It goes by Gray Hanged, and he likes to hang out, pun intended, on news sites and things like that, and spout all this conspiracy theory bullshit. So I just called him on one of them, and I think what I responded was something to the effect of, let's let the adults have the conversation. And he immediately starts trying to contact me through Facebook Messenger. I lost count at over 300 messages and attempted phone calls in like a 3-day time period.
How did he get your phone number?
No, through Messenger. You can call people through Facebook Messenger.
Gotcha.
And so yeah, and literally he's like, I believe in 1 minute he tried to contact me 17 times.
Nice.
The guy's clearly a little bit unstable, so I just keep tweaking him a little bit, right? So I'm an amateur photographer, and an emphasis on amateur, and he claims to be a professional photographer. And one of the things I did is I went to his very public post where he was bragging about his photographic skills, and I told him that I could ship better pictures than that. And then he tried contacting me another, 100 times or whatever. And so I just drop in on his page every once in a while, tweak him a little bit, and he loses his shit for a couple hours, and then I'm assuming his heart rate at some point returns back to normal, and then I tweak him again. But so I'm trying to, right? Just gotta, hopefully this will help him get a little bit of aerobic exercise at least, get his heart rate up.
Yeah, he has claimed to have access to secret documents.
Mhm.
He's claimed to be with the Lansing Police Department, and he's claimed to send his hacker friends after me.
Oh, good.
My favorite one though is that someone may or may not have logged on with a pseudonym account, and I told him after that that the guy that he was actually communicating with was I just made something up. I think I said like assistant deputy director of domestic counterintelligence for the FBI or something like that. He freaked out when that happened too. Deleted all references, any comments that he had made about this guy or to this guy. He totally scrubbed his Facebook page and all these other posts that he had made. And because I think he believes it, right? I think he thinks that if he deletes this stuff, the FBI is going to leave him alone.
He did block the FBI, man.
Yeah.
Oh, that's too bad.
Yeah. Anyway, we've just been having fun.
Yeah. So it tied into our scammer thing, and I just wanted to talk about it because I thought it was funny as shit. My wife last night, why do you guys do this? It's fun.
Right. It's like
We're
free.
screwing with dumb people.
Right.
I mean, the option is don't be a dumbass.
I sent you guys the one that they never responded.
I was at Jim's yesterday and I showed it to him and Wendy.
Yeah, that was a good
Yeah,
one.
I mean now I'm disappointed. I might have missed one of those misconnections, right?
Right.
That reminds me, I'm going to send our guest one more message to say we're ready anytime.
Anytime.
Even though I know she is not showing.
Mm. The negative about being home is I have to look around and see all the things I want to play with.
I'm sure you do.
Right? I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed.
That will happen.
So
I thought we'd take on the inflation. What the hell's it called? The Inflation Reduction Act of 2022.
The Inflation Reduction Act of 2022 that is not really good to do anything to inflation.
Really is not.
No.
I mean, maybe eventually, but I think it's a shitty name.
Well, let's look at what's driving inflation first, right? It's really it's
No, Nick is not in studio. He had an issue.
yeah. Nick's in his own private studio.
I am.
As you were saying, Jim.
Well, I think there's a couple things with private inflation right now, right? One of those is overseas supply chain and the issues with raw materials and shipping and just companies getting back on their feet, both domestically and overseas, and having dealing with COVID, right? So inflation is generally driven by supply, under supply, and or over demand, and in some areas there is there's pent-up demand for products, and that's really what's driving it, right? You've got factors like some of the things affecting that. Fuel is driving that, and a lot of that's being driven by there's some infrastructure issues with that, but it's primarily being driven by profit taking and global supply chain issues with invasion of Ukraine and OPEC, growing production, things like that. None of those things are going to be addressed by this.
Well, and
none of those systemic issues, particularly the overseas supply chain issues.
Typically, the way we control inflation is through the Fed.
That's the demand side of it.
Yes, and they curb loans by raising interest rate. Higher the rates go, the less people want to borrow money.
Yep.
And they've done that quite a bit this year. I mean, we've had 3 rate hikes this year.
Yeah, and the last one was a full 100 basis points.
Yeah, it was. So I mean, people are, not their money's not going to go as far because you just can't keep stretching it. we talked a couple weeks ago on air about Caitlin got a phone call from her mortgage company because they wanted to refinance. I'm sure they do. She's got a 3% rate and she'd double it. So, I mean, this might help come end of 23.
Yeah,
Not necessarily this, but
Right,
the steps we're taking.
well, so there's a lot of investment in this, right? There's a few things, and there's a lot of, longer term investment. So really, I think if it's gonna curb inflation, it should be more long term, putting guardrails around the fluctuation. But, yeah, I think it's just a poor litigation for one. Really a skinny down version of they originally called the Build
Build
Back
Back Better.
Yeah, that's what it is. They're throwing that Inflation Reduction name in there just to garner some.
Well, and you look at some of the things that they did get through. So Medicare can negotiate, I think it's 10 drugs starting in 26,
Yeah.
and then 20 drugs starting in 29, which
Yeah.
I mean, that's great, but that's 4 years away.
Mhm.
And of course, they build these things in so that, somebody else can change their mind later.
Or there's no accountability, that they
Right.
take credit for these things that either are or aren't gonna happen, 4 years in the future, right? Could be a different administration by then.
Well, of course, they pulled out private insurance from being able to negotiate the price of medication because of insulin. And that was, thank you, Joe Manchin. Dick about that. Yeah, I don't know. Some of the special interest things just really piss me off. Manchin with that, Cinema with what the hell was Cinema against? It was I wrote it down because I was so annoyed with that. So how fast can I read?
So I mean, I guess one of the other things that might help people, not necessarily with inflation while you're looking that up.
Yep.
But what that might help with easing cost pressure, is the ACA
Yes.
subsidy extension, but that's what I think at most, I mean, I don't wanna discount any amount of savings or whatever, or subsidy maybe getting, but total amount of that is, I'm looking at my notes here as well. 3 million people, right?
Yeah.
So, that's, and they're extending it.
3 years, yeah. Yeah, Cinema was against the carried interest tax
Right.
loophole because she's bought and paid for like most of them, and it wasn't good for her. Some of these things they have in the bill, I think, will be helpful. Maybe, they are putting $300 billion into energy and climate reform.
I'm just curious as to what's going to happen with that, right?
So am I.
Like they're talking about making investment. I know some of it's going to come in form of like green credits for individuals, but I a lot of that's going to get eaten up with sweetheart deals with companies that are supportive of politics. In fact, might be one of the things that pushed Manchin some of the others over the edge. I'm really curious to get Nick's take on the capital gains tax. That's part of it, right? It's the 1% minimum, I think, on taking capital gains.
I don't know.
Oh no, I'm sorry.
It was. I
I
said
didn't
the
mean
1%.
capital gains. I meant stock buyback.
Yes.
Stock buyback.
1% excise
on that. Yeah, what
tax
are
on
your
the
thoughts
stock
on that?
buyback.
Yep. And right, so my issue is everybody still blames the rich aspect of rich people getting richer, and this is what it is. But if you invest like everybody else, you're gonna eventually get those discounts and those things like everybody else, right? So I always go back to the old saying, right? If you want what other people have, do what other people do, right? And so, I excuse me, I didn't hear capital gains for the housing aspect. They're trying to bring that.
Yeah, no, I was with the capital gains things that was on the table that got negotiated out. I was referring to the stock buybacks. I'd say capital gains went.
No, and I don't know. It depends because the problem is right. Who's the one that gets free shares of stock? Right. It's the people that are higher up in a company, and
exactly.
Your CEO gets a shit ton in his package, right? Like,
sure.
I love seeing, let's give Gentex for example, right? Okay, so the CEO of the company made 400,000, where the vice president made 700,000 that year. But if you look at his stocks, right, they gave him $2 million like every quarter into stocks. And then, so your man, my managers or whatever would get, $1,000 worth of shares. And so you're giving it away for free. People need to stop bitching about paying the taxes on that, because really you got it for free. It's the same as we talk about, hey, if you lose 50% of what your IRA or your 401k is, you've put in only 50%, right? There's a match for most of that. So, you're paying tax on free fucking money. So it doesn't bother me, but I think taxes are getting so ridiculous. Eventually we're going to be taxed on, we are taxed on everything, but every dime that you spend, you're going to get taxed on. Every dime that you get, you're going to get taxed on. So it's frustrating, because where does it end? At what point? How much money? And you can't force anybody to spend their money. But I think what you need to do is start getting these rich people tax things to spend their money, not to hoard their money, right?
Yeah, right.
So,
well, see, I think my biggest issue with especially the stock buybacks are, you get this with a lot of companies that participated in bailouts or government programs that got this money to help their employees or to keep their business solvent, and instead they went and bought back stock.
Exactly.
That way they could get richer and screw everybody else.
Yeah, that's really what it's about. That's why I guess what I'm saying is, does the 1% really do? It's going to collect a small amount of money from the government.
Yeah, it needs to be higher.
Yeah, because is it at all effective at doing what it's attempting to do, which is to reduce the buybacks? I guess in the sense that if that's the policy you want, 1% is a foot in the door, right? And then it would be easier. It would be incrementally easier to change that.
Well, go ahead, Nick.
You look at it as, when you're doing a buyback, it's literally economics, right? So you're offering less supply, hoping to raise that demand, because there's not as many things that are out there. And so again, the people that are holding, which is the select, the one or two that you and I both own, versus again the CEO who owns 2 million of these freaking stocks, right? Now, okay, you're buying it back. Now, you've only doubled his stuff, and all you've done to mine is, make me $10, right?
Right.
And he's now at 4 million, right? So that's the kind of stuff that bothers me.
Well, see, and you bring up taxes, and everybody hates taxes. I get it, but maybe if we actually put our taxes to good use, we could get something out of our fucking taxes.
Yeah.
And we just don't do that. You'll find people in other countries that don't like paying whatever they pay in taxes, but at least they're getting something out of it. What the fuck am I getting for it? My roads suck.
Right.
Yeah, my roads suck. Medical's out of fucking control. The infrastructure's not good.
What are you getting? You're getting a military that's bigger than the next 23 countries combined. You're getting government officials to constantly stay in office and become lifetime people. Sorry, something just happened. So,
all right,
I'm glad I'm home.
All right.
Well, you take care of what happened, and Jim and I talk.
Sorry, like my whole house just shook. So
did you have an earthquake?
Figured out. It might have been.
What we're talking about.
It might be more interesting.
Yeah, say.
Turn the camera on so we can see.
Yeah, let's see what's going on, Nick.
Oh, it was my wife just slamming the door coming in the house, apparently.
Hello.
So, yeah, false alarm. Are you okay? Did you fall?
Oh, sure. When I fell in the shower this morning, nothing.
Yeah. Did you fall here?
This morning?
No, right now. Okay, the whole house just shook, so we were all scared. So, false alarm.
Courtney fell in the shower this morning, and Nick did not give a shit.
No, I passed the fuck out. I didn't care. She was good.
So anyways, as we were saying, yeah,
my bad.
We spend money on shit that doesn't need to have money spent on it.
There we do.
Oh, yeah. And I don't know. I don't think that we go back to politics, right? And these politicians, the money they're making to do nothing that benefits us as the people, right? You're supposed to vote the person that represents you as the people, and it's not being represented. Granted, there's people who make $300,000. I think they're the richest people in the world. And what is it now? It's 445,000 as a single income to be one of the top 1%ers, right? It's like your money's not good. I think it's like 775 as a combined couple. And so it's just right. The 1%, they're literally, that's what they are. They're 1%, right? Mm-hmm. So you have the masses in between there, and everybody else is below that, right? So start making that 1% a heck of a lot bigger, right? Let's start calling it a 10%er. Let's start, I want to be top of that. So,
well, see, it goes back to, and I rail on the boomers all the fucking time. The boomers were handed a whole bunch of good shit, and now they don't want anybody else to have it as easy as what they had.
Yep.
And it's selective memory for them. They don't realize that it really wasn't that difficult for them to buy their first house or, buy their first car, find a well-paying job.
Yeah, I mean, we were just kind of talking about this, right? You go back to the generation, my wife's father went to General Motors Institute in Flint. It's a co-op school then, it's a co-op school now, right? So you spend half your time in school, spend half your time working. He made enough money on his co-op job to not only pay for school, but start a family, get married, and all the rest of that. Fast forward a generation to Wendy's brother, and I think he probably did okay. I don't think he graduated with very much debt, but it certainly wasn't enough for him to, really live on. And now people from our kids' generation looking to go to school there, same school, really, doing the same kind of things. They're told to expect, even after, so the co-op job's down to, they're saying between $10 and $17 an hour, and you can expect to be $250,000 in debt by the time.
Yeah, which is crazy. I mean,
you're not, and the education they're getting is no different.
Yeah, I used to bowl Thursday mornings, right? And it was called the GM League because it was all these guys who used to work for GM. And I promise you, 25% of these guys, nice. 25% of these guys were 50 years old when they retired, right? Mm-hmm. Fully retired, never worked again. I know the guy that bowled on my team. Sure, granted, he's single. I get that. But he retired at like 48 or 50 years old, hasn't worked since then, has enough money to bowl 6 days a week, buys bowling balls whenever he feels like it, and hires somebody to come clean his house, right? Sure, he's not driving a Lamborghini, but he's got a car that gets him back and forth. He lives a very basic life, doing very basic things, and you could never do that in our society. Also, with what's going on, back then you used to be able to not have to go to school and you'd move up in a company, right? I worked for Gentex for 10 years and was told point blank, you don't have a degree, you're not moving up. So,
well, we have unions to thank for a lot of that, and go out on my soapbox again. I think NAFTA was shit. I think that really hurt manufacturing in the United States.
Because, giant second sound.
Yeah. It hurt manufacturing here because it gave companies here the incentive to not be here and find cheaper labor and be able to exploit that cheaper labor. And then shit just got worse here. And then they sold people here on how awful unions were. Case in point, Mikey. When Steve sold Big Top to Harding's down in Plainwell, Harding's was unionized. Mm-hmm. Since they were taking on that business, they had to vote to unionize that business. And they convinced Mike not to do it because all they do is take money out of your check and you don't get anything for it.
I can see Mike falling for that.
And he fell for that, and they voted it down. And within 2 years, he got fired because he made, I'm going to think 18, 19 bucks an hour, and they could hire somebody to do his job for 10.
All because he wasn't in the union.
Exactly.
And
He could probably still be working there right now and not killing himself at,
Wherever the
stacking
hell he's
shelf.
at now. Yeah.
serve you success,
That's it.
which a third party company, right? And third party companies, sure, they have a use as a company, but everybody knows they're literally just walking in saying, hey, I can find really cheap labor, let us do it. Yeah, you'll have a little hiccups, but I worked for a third party company called Kenco Logistics, right? So these people in the warehouse were making $48 an hour making baby formula, right? They were moving it back and forth. They hired me back in the day for $12 an hour. The company technically got paid for me 17, just like a temp, right? They got paid $17 an hour for me as a person. They got paid, and so you've cut it into a fourth, and you don't have to pay me benefits, and you don't have to do all this. I can cover the insurance aspect of it. So they walk in and say, I can make you so much money.
Because I'm sure they're paying Myers is probably paying almost double what Mikey is getting paid
Oh, yeah.
per employee.
But they're saving all that money on benefits.
Yep.
And we already know, because we know him, he doesn't get time off. His medical's not great. He works overtime and doesn't clock all of the hours he works because he's not allowed to.
Yep.
And those are things unions don't allow to happen.
Well, and nor does the government, except for the problem is Mikey's a pushover, right?
Yep.
So he allows it to happen because he's so poor and feared for his job where he won't mark that, right? And if it was me, I'd be going straight to the labor board, right?
Absolutely.
This is what it is. I'd write every goddamn 15 minutes that I couldn't get, right? I'd be like, hey, they didn't pay me for all of this. And they told me I'm not allowed to write. I have to punch out, but my job still has to get done, right? Sure, fire me for lack of being able to do it, right? But you don't see these companies firing because he shows up every goddamn day and does a really good job. There's times where you can't keep up. So, the expectation versus what's there, my favorite thing, I'm going to kind of take that. You guys have seen the show, right? Undercover Boss.
Oh, yeah.
Right. I love the show, but also hate the show in a sense, right? Because, all right, you get to things like a small chicken company, right? Like I wouldn't say KFC, but it's like a mom and pop's startup chicken thing, and there's a bunch of them around. And the guy that started it knows what the hell he's doing, right? And he actually understands, and he kind of catches on. But then you get companies that are making ice cream, and they have the guy doing whatever. And this guy couldn't work physically if he tried. He has no idea how this shit's actually done. And he's like, and you could tell, I watched the guy get trained on a high-low, and the guy got fired, right? Because he was too unsafe on a high-low. And the employee technically was like, hey, I'm going to let you go. And he goes, really, off of that? And he goes, yep, we can't have that in this environment. And I was like, you got to be shitting me. Like, you have a guy who can't do anything, is getting trained, gets told that he's not good enough to do it, but somehow is the CEO of this company. No, like, when you walk a day in my shoes, then understand how much I should get paid, because that guy's taking it more serious than anybody I know.
Well, it's the point. So we have an employee here that, keeps having arguments over when are you going to go get a different job or a better paying job or more hours or whatever. And their answer is, yeah, I'm not really interested. I can't find a job that pays me per hour what I make right now. And everybody at my job does every job. My boss doesn't sit there and just dictate what to do. She gets up and cleans the room. She, builds packages. She does everything we do. And I'll admit, I don't do everything they do because I don't build packages. That's not my deal.
Right.
But I'll go clean a room. I have no problem cleaning a room.
Yeah, but how much are you getting paid?
Nothing.
Exactly. Right.
Okay. I'm going to talk. When I worked there, I'm not getting paid. You get paid by the fact that your wife owns the business and eventually it's going to benefit you.
Yeah, but I'm not getting paid.
Right.
You're working truly for free, but I'm also not getting paid. And I will say, Dawn said this to me yesterday. I've offered to pay Mike. The fucker won't take my money.
I'm saying it. But that's how I basically, if like, I don't feel bad if I'm not going to clean a room when there are 2 or 3 others standing around that can clean a room. So I'm like, you're getting paid, I'm not. Right.
Yep. I get to choose. And, you know, I mean, I was dealing with this with my contractors, right? Somebody was like, oh, you let your contractors do this, and how come you're not over there doing this? Hey, I know when I go over there, I just talk and say, yeah, this is what I want. And I take up time from them actually working. And number two, like, they're getting paid to do that, right? Yeah, okay. I'm hoping in the end I get paid, but I have to hope and pray, right? So, don't give me crap that I hired somebody to do an outlet change and I could do that in my sleep, right? Don't get me wrong. Today I went and, God, I worked so much today. It was crazy. I changed water shutoff valves. I did a bunch of random stuff, but I'm sitting here going, okay, but I got paid to do that. I don't get paid to do it on my own property, right? Like I can choose whether I do that. And that's the joys and the benefits. But
well, again, I mean, yes, you're saying you don't get paid to do it on your own property. Given the fact that you're using the money, that you get in rent beyond what you pay in is your income.
Yep. So.
That's an indirect, right? It's not a direct wage, it's an indirect.
Yeah.
Yep. And I'm thinking about giving myself stock options, and
You should consider doing a buyback too.
I'm thinking about it, and what I'm really thinking about doing is offering paid vacations for all my employees, right? And the best employee.
You should split your stock.
Maybe I will. Let me see. I'm thinking about
increase your yearly bonus by 300%.
Oh, actually, I might do that. And best employee wins a full week's paid vacation. I'm really thinking that for him and his family. I say that's actually going to happen in October. That's gonna be the employee bonus right there.
I think drinks are on Nick.
Yeah, say no, they're already paid.
Hey, Nick.
Yeah.
On that cruise, other than when we're in like Haiti or Jamaica.
Yeah.
All the drinks for that employer on me.
Yeah, there you go.
Here you go.
Mike's buying at the swim up bar.
Jeez.
We were talking a little bit ago about, this bill, and yeah, it's great you're doing this, but it doesn't take effect. So one of the other things that kind of irritates me a little bit. So they're putting a $2,000 out-of-pocket max on drugs for Medicare. 2025.
Yeah.
What's wrong with 2023?
2022.
Yeah.
Well, 2022 is half over.
Oh no, yeah, no, I understand that, but you can certainly have the bill take effect at the beginning of the fiscal year, which would be it's actually more than half over. The fiscal year starts in October for the federal government.
Yeah.
It's everything is, everything the government does is down the line. So if it doesn't go as planned and it becomes somebody else's problem.
Exactly.
If they're no longer in office at that time. You look at all the Trump tax cuts are on the middle class. They were all basically coming out of effect once he was if he didn't win his second term, they were coming out of effect once he was out of office.
Yep.
Yeah, but the upper 1% keeps theirs.
Yes, because it's important, because when you're worth multiple billions of dollars, you need to keep that extra multiple billion of dollars.
He needs that fifth yacht.
These guys had to pay more in taxes. They're gonna have less money to spend on spaceship, right?
Very true.
And I don't know, like, again, that to me, we talked about that on the episode of the space thing. Like, I can't tell you what to spend your money on, right? But so like what these people are spending their money on, granted, that created a crap ton of jobs. So like in my eyes, that was a good thing. Everybody else's eyes, it cost $23 million or whatever it was. And they could have done so much. 23 billion or million, I don't remember. I mean, they're huge numbers, but like, right, like the amount of people that went to school for,
aerospace engineering or whatever.
Space, is now they've given them an opportunity to live their dream and their things like that. And even if they got paid lower, but like, I'd rather see somebody get paid a little bit lower to be able to do a job that they absolutely love versus getting paid, a high amount to do a job they absolutely fucking hate.
How many people do you know like that?
Very, very few, right?
Exactly.
Usually business owners are the people. But like you don't find, and that's the thing, like you don't find that. But like, I know there's jobs out there, right? And it happens to be a lot of the times when you enjoy your job, usually you're good at it, right? And when you're good at it, then you get paid what you're worth, right? So an example would be a director, right? A director is technically self-employed. They could be employed by a movie company and then require a certain amount of money to do that. They're very, very good at it. They absolutely love doing it, and that's why, right? So
it used to be that way though. The actors and the directors were owned
They're
by
under
the
contract.
studios.
Yep.
And
I
so
think it was SAG that basically allowed them to be independent contractors.
say I went to the South Park episode, the former Actors Guild, but I don't know. I think when you look at I want to get back to the inflation thing, right?
Yeah.
We're talking about pricing going up, and yes, okay, we know that you have to raise costs because, as you said, David, people won't spend that kind of money, right? Because if people are not willing to spend their money on things, prices have to come down on things, right? It's a supply and demand aspect. It's economics 101, right?
Well, we saw it with gas prices.
Yeah.
Gas prices were over $5. People stopped driving. Now,
They dropped.
it wasn't Nick and I because we're just going to drive. It happens.
Right?
But it wasn't, and I don't think again it was so much like we said. It's not a lot of people weren't driving; people were doing excess driving.
Right.
Correct.
Like we said, people weren't willing to come from up north or the other side of the state for the Whitecaps game.
Yeah,
because it was going to cost money.
It wasn't for them to go to work. It was for them to go have fun and so they're less.
Yeah.
Well, and you have to look at that and say, hey, where do we, but the other thing on the reverse side is we've already done the damage, right? And sure, did I support the aspect of the 4th of July bullshit that they tried pulling nobody buy gas for the 4th and the 5th or whatever the fuck it was? Yes, but again, it takes everybody to get behind it. And I'm not going to do it because I don't think everybody else is going to do it aspect. Literally record profits for oil industry, record profits, right? Just we're talking hundreds of millions of dollars for these companies, right? I stand behind certain things. So the oil spill that happened, gosh, years and years ago for BP, right? And I think it's just 2010. Don't quote me on a date.
Yep.
I have
Along
not.
the Gulf.
What's that?
The Gulf oil spill you're talking about.
Yeah.
The Gulf of Mexico.
So I have not shopped at it. I haven't gotten gas from a BP since then, right? I was just in Kalamazoo, and don't quote me on the exact prices. I know it was a 17-cent difference between me going to one gas station and me going to a BP, and I actually paid 17 cents more just to make sure I won't do it because that's who I am as a person, right? Like that's what I feel. Granted, it doesn't affect anybody on any level. It makes me feel good as a person because I know I'm not supporting a company that absolutely sucked at fit. They killed millions of things in the environment for the ocean, and
they tried to basically play it off like it wasn't their fault.
Right.
Yeah, no, too far down. No, you fucking built it. Oh my God, that's what pissed me off, right? Up in place. You stupid fox. Like, I was so angry, and I'm still angry about it. It gets me every time. Nice, Jim.
Well, I think more than anything, I don't think I've ever bought gas from a BP, but there's like one I think I've jumped in to buy like a pop or something like that. But
which the pop technically doesn't go to the oil company.
Right.
That goes to the store owner, right?
Yep.
And I'm fine with that aspect of things.
Yeah.
But again, it's not, if you told me you stop at BP and that's where you shop and you like their fuel and you like, that's on you. I'm not mad. I'll share it and tell you how I feel. And this is why I feel the way I feel. But I don't really care because I know not everybody's going to support the same thing that I support. Right. And
Nick, you're a bad communist.
that's a factual statement, right? Say,
You're supposed to make people believe exactly what you believe.
you know,
You're so Antifa.
You know, and so we are, but we also know that gas prices are coming down because of elections, right? It always happens. Like November is going to become the election. Here we are, August, September, October, November. You know, I mean, we have 3 months. It always does this. And then, you know, give it within 2-3 weeks and gas prices are going to go back up quite a bit, right? And
Probably
then
won't go up until after, I would think after the first of the year.
you think so? I mean, I just
Probably once the new Congress is installed, which is always on the first of the year.
and but you know, and you always watch it around, you know, Labor Day, Memorial Day.
It'll go up. It'll go up around holidays just because consumption's going to go up. So it's going to be that supply versus demand thing.
And you know what? And the worst part is okay. The older I got, I want to be very clear on how I say this. The older I got, the more I was willing to pay extra money around the holidays because I realized, and it was a hope and prayer. It wasn't what was happening, but it was the fact that they have to pay an employee to be there on the holiday, and I'm out here joyriding on a holiday. And I was hoping that they were just trying to make sure that they cover the cost to pay that person the time and a half, right? And be okay with it. So I'm now fine with doing that because I'm supporting that person to make sure they have a job. Yeah. And you know, and it's weird because again, we're not Christians. I don't know what you guys are. You know, I know what some of you are, but I would say, right, like I have now worked with multiple people who are Jehovah's Witness, who are Muslim descent, who are Jewish, and they're willing to work holidays because it's just another day to them. And so to me, it's like, man, granted, you couldn't run a full facility because there's not enough, but I do find that religion is changing, right? I mean, you find a lot of churches that they're going out because guess what? The older generation that's used to tithing 10% isn't happening anymore. So these churches aren't bringing in as much money and they're not doing the big things. So, you know, we have a church for sale right here in Jenison, in Jenison. And I'm thinking about buying the building just to start the Church of Nick, right? Where, say, God, think about how great that would be, right? Like,
I'll follow the Church of Nick after Eddie is no longer with us. Otherwise, I'm still stick with
hopefully is not for a long, long time.
Yeah.
For what?
I'll stick with Hendyism until Hendy is truly a God in heaven.
Yep. No, and that's, you know, so I to me, gosh, I know we're talking about inflation, but I want every church to be taxed.
Yes.
As a business, right? If you go buy anything in this world except, well, in Michigan, it's funny because Michigan's laws are different than other states, but like here, if you buy non-prepared food, there's no tax. If you go to Chicago, even if you buy prepared food, right, it's taxed. So, you know, income tax isn't a thing in Florida. I don't know how I feel about a law.
I mean, or maybe not every like religious organization out there, but maybe once it gets beyond a certain size, like if you're dealing with like a startup of like 50 people, maybe not, but those mega churches with like thousands, they need to be taxed.
Yeah, but you can't prove that there's thousands of people that are members. You could just prove that they're new guests every week, right? So I think like everything has to be done in this.
Yeah. Because
that's we're so big, but we bring in so many new people, and yeah, they leave and they come and they, everything on that side of things needs to be taxed, right? And I think and once you start taxing them, right? Because churches are meant to be, and again, this is to piss everybody off because that's who the fuck I am as a person, right? So take that money that you would tax all these churches at, put it towards Medicare, Medicaid, all those types of things, right? You want to help the people, help the fucking people, and be forced to fucking do it, right?
Yep.
Don't let anybody spend any money elsewhere. This is where this money's going for. You're officially having to reach out to the community standards, right?
But you're right, Nick, about, I would think the, boomers, and I would even older Gen Xers are definitely of the mindset that, when you're, tithing, like 10% of your income, your church or whatever is coming, like, I don't take, pretty much anything my dad says nowadays, I, only believe about 25% of it, but, it is, crazy hospital stay a couple of weeks ago. He's sitting there going off about, because he's very involved in the Catholic Church, or was until he started having these issues. Now, he just is too off the wall to be able to do it, but he's literally like, oh yeah, we're gonna, and I don't know how he thinks if you're giving the like space and like the building for free, but then you're expecting them to like, basically donate 10% or 20% or 25% of their sales. Basically, is it really free? Basically, like, oh, we're gonna give it to them for free, but we're gonna suggest they give us 25% of their sales. Like, first, I don't know anybody who's. I mean, if you're gonna use 25% of your sales to rent, a room in a church, you may as well use that same 25% of your sales to rent a room that's not associated with the church.
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, I would I didn't hear the first little part. Sorry. When you're talking about sales, where did the sales aspect come from? But
whatever business they're talking about trying to bring in, it's like little, like people who do, not necessarily just like the small scale, like X type stuff, but maybe, people who might bring in,
for a craft show or something like that.
Yeah. Well, no, this would be like giving them a space that they could use
Actually
as like an
put it
office away
together.
from their home.
Sure. And like, to me, right, if I'm going to a mega church where you have 100,000 people and I can actually reach 100,000 people, sure, that's worth a little bit of money, but that's called rent, right? I mean,
exactly.
Well, that's what I'm saying, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's not the Catholic Church thing.
Right. Where if we go to my
you're gonna hit
wife's,
maybe 500 people, and I would agree. If you're, but it's like, you can't call it, we're gonna give it to them for free, but then expect them to give us money as a donation. At that point, just call it rent.
right.
That's basically what it is.
Oh, that's exactly it. I mean, right. You're gonna not allow me back if I don't give you what you want. So
yeah,
because then it's like you're almost like creating a tax shelter with it by saying, well, this is just a donation, that we give them a space to work. I mean, that's that kind of thing where the churches are kind of, they use these other ways to be like, oh, I could give this space for free and people could donate money to us as a church. They get it, it's taxed right off for them. We don't pay taxes. Everybody's getting around the loophole.
Yeah.
Well, and again, with churches 50 years ago, they may have not told their parishioners how to vote, but they openly do it now.
Absolutely.
And if you're openly doing it, you should get fucking taxed.
I stopped going to Catholic church probably the fourth time I heard them do the pro-life prayer. And I'm like, nope, can't do it. I don't agree with that. It's,
Speaking of loophole, sorry, Nick, I'm going to go here in a couple minutes, but there's one more provision to this bill that I want to talk about, and that's this idea that they're going to fund. I think they're saying something like $300 billion in additional tax revenue by spending $80 billion to increase enforcement for the IRS, and that's kind of the other major thing that's going on. I just want to get everyone's thoughts on what they think about that. Like, is that going to work?
I'm so sorry. I had my fifth scam call like in a row. What do you want to put on?
The question was the other provision of this bill that we haven't talked about, because I have to go out, so I'm just interested in everyone's thoughts on this. Is they're going to spend about $80 billion fund enforcement at the IRS, And they're saying that that's going to result in about 300 billion in additional revenue. And I just wonder what people think about that. And the sort of implied promises that they're going to go after rich people who aren't paying their taxes, right, or sheltering in and doing things that are, where the IRS can actually, if they have better enforcement, they can get these folks. I just think it seems unrealistic that that's who they're targeting. That they're going to get 300, they're going to get $300 billion because these folks are pretty good at offshoring their money and things like that.
I think it's extremely unrealistic. I think the people they're gonna get are people like my mother, who they send a bill to because supposedly it was wrong, and I then spend 6 months fighting with her, going, no, you're not gonna pay it. You're gonna sit there and argue it, and argue it, and argue it, and then at some point they're gonna go, oh yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Because they get 70% of the people are like, fuck it, I'll just pay this $2,000.
Yep.
Right. That's exactly it. As people like, just the other day, I had a mortgage payment due. Apparently, my escrow, something's fucked up with it right now. I made an $1,100 payment on something that's normally $700. I was like, I don't give a shit. I'll deal with it later. Today's the 9th. I haven't dealt with it in 9 fucking days. Okay. Because granted, supposedly it's supposed to go towards this, so it's still towards that. Now the thing is what you're saying is it's gonna fuck me.
Yes.
Right. It's not gonna fuck Donald Trump, right?
Exactly.
Because guess what? He's got enough money to sit here and go, yeah, I'll fucking just like the David, right? He's like, yeah, we'll fight it, we'll do this. And David's doing it for free. Where me, I'm gonna get screwed and they're gonna be like, hey, you didn't do this. And it's gonna be the person who's lazy, who didn't keep track of that receipt from B-Dubs that I claimed $43, and they're gonna go, you spent $43 at B-Dubs? Hell yes, I did, right? Normally my tab's $70, but I just say, and so it's gonna be that middle to low, like the middle to low, right? And that's the guy that's gonna get hit so much more because, oh wait, you did this. Oh, you're claiming this is a company vehicle, but we see that you went up to the UP. Do you have proof that you did this? And okay, even at the end of it, and I'm right, you've wasted so much more money than what you would going after the other people, right?
Exactly.
And we go back to the Gentex thing, right? Gentex gets a tax credit from the government, the city, right? They pay less in their property taxes for the hundreds of acres that they fucking own and businesses that they have than I do on an 8-unit sitting in Wyoming.
Yep.
They pay less than I do on an 8-unit. Like, that's the shit that but they're giving so many more jobs. Well, on a scale, no, right? Like,
right.
I hire plumbers, electricians, carpenters, this, that. Like, they're not my employees, they're 1099s. My 1099 people are paying taxes.
Sure.
I'm doing this. And now you want me to give everybody a 1099? You want me to do this? Like, sure, I pay cash for a lot of things. I don't charge, right? Like, I'm not going to say what you made. Like, I'm going to write a bill and say, this is the grand total. This is what I spent. Who did you do it to? Everybody and their brother. I don't care, right? Like, and I'm going to make this list so fucking long where it's going to go, all right. And the problem is I have to get everybody on board for it. And that's where it's going to fall short, right? So, hey, I did this. I sent to my GC. My GC did 200 people, right? John Smith laid this piece of flooring. Alan Smith laid this. His brother Tommy Smith laid this piece. Stephen Smith laid this piece. Well, did they all get paid? That's not my problem. I paid the one guy. He paid the rest of them, right? And you can't tell me how many people just came in here and what do I have? I have 1,400 square feet of flooring, right? So let's just say each piece is 1 square foot. I'll tell you, I had 1,400 people come through and lay one piece of fucking flooring, okay? Because I'm a vindictive asshole like that, right? But the government's going to come after a person like me. They're not going to come after a Trump who literally has been doing this stuff forever, right? He's been proven, and I'm not picking on Trump. That's just the person I know that's in real estate aspect. He's been known to fly illegals in, do a job, fly them back home, and pay them cash, right? And it's proven. There's so many people that have come out and said, hey, they
or not even pay them.
Yeah.
Or not pay them, right? And I'll deport you, right?
Right.
Like, that's the other problem, right?
So I'll say goodbye to Jim. Thank you for joining us, Jim.
Thanks for the beer.
Absolutely.
No,
Hey, Jim,
before you go, Jim, I
have
want to hear your side.
I'll have a gift for you next time I come up. It'll be some non-alcoholic IPAs from the
Appreciate
mix that I
Thank you.
bought from Untitled Arts.
Sounds awesome. I appreciate it.
Nick wants your take before you run off
My take on
Yeah,
what?
sorry, real quick.
on the question you just had.
Oh, no, I thought it was assumed that, yeah, it's gonna end up falling, I
Right.
like what you said, it's gonna end up falling on the middle class to poor people because they need to extract $300 billion in revenue. It's not coming from Elon Musk. No, absolutely.
No, they'll
And-
spend
and-
80
yes,
billion to get this enforcement, and they'll make 10
Yeah,
billion
or
out
that's,
of it
or that's
because
the other
they'll-
side of it, yeah.
They'll enforce the wrong people.
Exactly.
Right.
Yep.
Well, and so I'm glad you agree because, I'll run on with it. Okay. So the person that can afford an attorney to fight it, and even if they settle for a quarter, they've still made 3/4, right?
Exactly.
And so now, okay, yes, I put this accountant into place. Oh, we're going to reprimand that accountant. That accountant's lost their license. Okay. So let's say an accountant makes I don't know what Trump's accountant makes, right? Let's just assume he's straight for Trump. Okay. Guy's worth what? 660 million.
Mhm.
So he's going to work for 40 years. So that's 40 million bucks. If Trump pays the accountant to take his license and never practice again, hey man, I'll buy your license for 40 million bucks. You're you're good, right? So that's the whole thing. I can't do that. I can't go to my accountant and go, hey, I know I pay you 600 bucks a year. Let me just pay you,
Yeah.
60,000 and we'll call. I'm so sorry
Right.
that you screwed up, right?
Yeah.
It's just you're gonna see so many people not wanting to get into this field.
That's happening in a lot of other fields too for the same reason. So anyway, thanks again, gentlemen. Appreciate it. We'll talk
Sorry,
soon.
yeah.
Jim,
Take care.
good luck with
Sorry, I'm not
Gray.
in the studio.
Where
So-
are you at, Nick?
Nick's at his
I'm
house.
at my house in my back area.
And you
I'm not
actually
wearing
have like
Bucks and
good,
Brew
you actually have good reception?
It seems to be going good. Well, I'm not doing it I'm not doing it on my computer. I'm doing it on my phone. So I'm hoping you guys
Okay.
can hear me. I set it up a little bit so my speaker's off the ground a little bit. And I'm sitting in so I have I have a little chair here, and it's a comfy ass chair.
It looks like a comfy chair.
I come here twice a year now. I barely sit in this thing. I just moved. Do you guys know what this is?
Oh, jeez.
Is that internet?
Oh no, that's
Oh, I think isn't that like a little like the old style like thing that you'd like plug all the different stereo components into or whatever?
Oh, that's a DVD player.
Oh, DVD
And,
player. Okay.
Yeah, it's just like that's how big it is, right? The new ones are this. So I had to move this off of my chair.
No, I didn't have glasses on. I couldn't see.
No, you're fine. All I'm saying is, so like, right? I mean, here's the stuff I own, right? A 5-disc CD changer. That's what gives me the Tigers game when David comes over and swims, and we listen to the Tigers game or the Cubbies game.
So we do
or
have a
just
comment
music.
on Twitch.
Yeah,
People who don't pay taxes will find other ways to not pay taxes, and that is absolutely true.
Mhm.
At the same time, we can't keep making it easy on them to not pay taxes.
people ask me, and here's the truth, right? People ask me why I have a W-2. It's because don't want to get into the point of I'd rather work 365 days a year to lower my tax at the end of the year than sit here and budget how much taxes I'm gonna have to pay because how busy my life is on a constant, like, sure, I could just take 30% and you know what, like, all right, let's say I do $300,000 in flips and I'm gonna pay 30% of that. That's, $30,000. Well, at the end of the year, it could be 27,000, it could be 33,000. I don't want to get hit with a surprise, so I'd rather just kind of offset it with a W-2.
Mhm.
And to me, it's just, I don't know. You get used to something and you don't want to pay shit tons in taxes. I'd rather work and take a higher tax cut, right?
Right.
I mean, that's just me.
Well, see,
So
two of the biggest ways they want to start stimulating this economy, and we've talked about this many, many times, lower student debt and lower medical debt. If we could get those two things under control, we could stimulate this economy.
So one thing, all right. So I'm naive, right?
Mhm.
And that's okay. That's okay to be. I've learned this through being old. If I get hurt in a different country, I've heard of countries just covering the medical bill, the ones that normally have their thing. We do, you can't say it's not true. We do have an issue with illegals coming here,
Mhm.
and then they get hurt while they're working, or they get hurt and they do stuff, and they're not held responsible for their medical debt, right? Because we do charge here in America, right? And to me, there's no way to go to. Am I right in saying Switzerland doesn't have, like, or let's say Canada, right? There's no medical. So if I go to Canada and I get in a big car crash and I end up in a Canada hospital, I'm not going to end up with a bill here, because Canada's going to cover it.
Right.
I can't repay Canada, right? In theory, I can go pump gas because I live in Michigan. I can stop and do that, but like, you have to know going into that country that this is what their stipulations are. And so, but we're eating so much cost of these types of things. And people that are illegally coming over here, they're having kids, and the kids are born here, so they're legal, but the birth is actually written off because you can't put it on the kid because they're not legally responsible. It's the illegal that's here that has the kid. And that's why people do it in a sense. So I don't know what that grand total is. I don't care to do the math, but I'd like to see the numbers eventually and say, hey, how much debt are we actually racking up because of this? Can we offset some things? And other people are going to say, oh, I don't want to pay for that person. You're a selfish, heartless son of a bitch, right?
Well,
I
the
get they
problem
can
is
want
we're
to.
already paying for those people.
Yeah, but look how much debt we're in $1 trillion in debt.
And why?
Elon Musk, or sorry, excuse me, Jeff Bezos, who you guys hate, right? Can't pay that fucking debt. The richest person can't pay that debt,
But why are
A
we?
combination of the richest people can't pay that debt.
right? So
But again, why
we
are we in
need,
debt?
because we literally offer jobs to everybody and overpay. We overpromise and underperform. That's what we do as America. Overpromise, underperform. Me as a business owner, I overperform and underpromise, right? Like, hey, I'm gonna get this job done here. Let's say today, right? Today I went and did on the first place, right? I fixed a kitchen or a sink faucet, a towel handlebar, a door lock, a light, and two water faucets on offs, right? Normally a person would say, hey, I can get that done in 6 minutes. And I say, hey, it's going to take me a few hours. I have to run back and forth, do this and that. And granted, I got it right the first time. And so I did everything right. But, as America, hey, you know what? Let's hire this new person to do this job. And they don't do the job, but they still get paid for it, right? I mean, David, you and I, let's talk about a person that we might both know, right? Who might be in a financial spot to where their give a fuck is not where it's at. Do you understand where I'm going with this?
Keep talking.
So that person, in theory, should be fired for underperforming, correct?
Correct.
Still has a job, correct?
Yeah, probably.
Right? So they're underperforming and still getting paid. That's America, right?
To an extent,
I mean,
yeah.
You know the person I'm talking about, and they're underperforming. They're not doing what they intended to do. They're just like, hey, I don't give two shits anymore. The company's just too wrapped up in not giving a shit to care, right?
Well,
And
see,
so
part of the problem with this is if we actually were fiscally responsible, okay? And I can just look at the presidencies we've had since 1980. So Reagan, massive deficit. Bush, the first Bush, massive deficits. Clinton, no deficits. Bush 2, deficits. Obama cleaned that up. Trump, deficits.
and right? Like, it's funny because, you know what? Like, Clinton has a bad name because the only thing people
He
of
stuck
my
a cigar in an
generation,
intern.
it's exactly it, right?
Yeah,
That's all I
he's a
know.
sexual assaulter.
And who knows, right? Granted, he was proven guilty, so in theory, yes, right? But like, you know, I'm at this point of why am I sitting here listening to people who tell me, hey, the dream is out there, you just have to go do it. But the Democratic people that I know are doing it debt free, right? I mean, as much as you and I hate Ramsey,
Mhm.
That debt free thing, and you're still being successful. I mean, we all know it's a statistic that says it takes 2 generations to have a Rockefeller wealth, right?
Mhm.
And that's if both generations hustle their ass off. So Rockefeller wealth will never, in theory, go away. Sure, you can give the stupid 17, you know, you could have a trust fund kid for however long, but it'll never go away because they're not giving them enough, right? This wealth, because the next ones will be smart enough to do it. So,
I have 3 Twitch comments I want to get to.
yeah, please do.
1, medical bills for illegals didn't rack up 30 trillion. Sometimes a body to fill the spot is better than nobody. And didn't Clinton have a 10-year plan to get rid of the national debt? I know when Clinton was in office, they turned off the debt calculator that they started under Reagan because it didn't keep going up. So they didn't feel like they needed to keep running the debt calculator. And then when Bush got in there, they turned it back on.
But Bush's excuse is fucking 9/11.
Which is still bullshit.
Again, why, right? Like, I love my country. I will stand for my country. I will be any part of my country. And people are gonna be like, "Oh, you're a fat ass. You won't get out there and do anything." Like, I understand that that's what you're saying, but I love what every person is doing to serve my country, right? Because they're allowing me to do the things I get to do. But yes, Clinton is the only thing I know that didn't just go ape shit on the fucking debt.
Well, see, and this
Granted,
is the thing that
my problem is Biden's fucking it up like crazy right now.
But is he?
Yes, look at the numbers.
We don't honestly know.
Not yet. But when you put the math together and see, granted, part of it is Trump's aspect. It's the fact that Biden rewrote and supported. And that comes from a greedy aspect of things because, right, a county here in Michigan just got $330 million extra dollars for COVID emergency relief. And it's been going for 2.5, 3 years now. Like, how much fucking money can you keep? 30 million just in one county, right? So there's billions that have gone all over the USA. I mean, billions. Like, money my brain can't fucking fathom. I can fathom the $1,200 that you paid me. I can't fathom the fucking billions of others, right? Like, stupid money. And you know, I blame what's in office now for that because they had the opportunity to stop it. And I would have put it all on fucking Trump. Would it have done anything? No, nothing. It wouldn't have helped. It wouldn't have hurt. It wouldn't. You could put the blame on the past presidents for everything. The problem, and sure, there's only 8 years to get your shit together. And that's one thing I tell you about Trump. Absolutely love the fact that he sat there and just said, fuck you, impeach. He was impeached, what, 2 or 3 times?
Twice.
Right? So fuck you, figure it out. All I know is this is going into place. Fuck you, figure it out. The guy had some cojones, right? And the people let him stay.
Well,
Sure.
Here's the problem. It's not the 4 or 8 years you have a president. It's the 60 years you have these assholes in Congress. Or the lifetime that you have these assholes behind a bench. Those are the things that are massively fucking us over at this point. Because Biden can't fix anything because you have to have 60 senators that'll say, yeah, we're going to vote for that. Because
61.
60-40.
Oh, yeah.
Unless they suspend the filibuster, and then you only need 50 because
Right.
Harris will break the tie, which is what happened with this bill. The one side, and again, I don't want to be a Democrat, but I don't have a fucking choice right now. So Republicans sit there and go, oh, I'm just going to obstruct because I don't want to do anything that makes Biden look good because fuck that. It can only look good for us. And the other side goes, you know, maybe we should do something to help these people that are fucking struggling. And nobody will come together. So the only option at this point is you got to vote in some more Democrats in November to see if they actually do fucking change something for the next 2 years. If they don't, then they're worthless and get rid of them too. But we need term limits. We need ranked voting. We need to get rid of the electoral college. And I mean, I can get on my soapbox all day about this shit, but we're not going to do any of it because it doesn't make them money and they're happy making their money.
And that's what, like, as much as you guys keep saying the fact of, like, you know, you said Dawn said this, like, she respects the fact that I gave her an opinion because of it would fuck my business. The other aspect of Trump, right? His biggest stance that I remember was the fact that he wants to get rid of term limits, because that's a fucking huge thing. Like, term limit, he needs to set term limits for the people that there shouldn't be lifers in this goddamn world. Like, all right, you and I both hate Mitch McConnell.
Yep.
We both hate Nancy Pelosi. Yep. Right? Like, get rid of both of them. Get rid of people. Make it a constant. Okay, sure.
The problem with Trump is he can say that shit all he wants, but he didn't do a goddamn thing about it.
Nothing. Not a goddamn thing.
It's like his fucking health plan. We'll see it in 2 weeks. It's going to be great. It'll be the greatest thing ever. You'll see it in 2 weeks. 2 weeks never came for 4 fucking years. He still doesn't have a goddamn plan.
Right. And so, all right. So here's the thing. I'm going to walk you through kind of my presidency, okay? From what I remember. Okay. Clinton, how long was he in office?
He was in office for 8 years.
Thank you. Bush.
8.
Obama.
8.
Right? Those are 3 in order, right? Then comes Trump.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
How long was that?
4.
Now, and then we're going to see what comes of this. When's the last time you remember anybody being in office for only 4 years?
Bush.
George H.W. Bush.
Exactly.
Before that, Jimmy Carter.
And before that, Jimmy Carter. And before that, Nixon did not serve a full 8 because he was impeached.
Yeah.
So,
which means Ford didn't either.
Johnson, well, Johnson would have been able to run again. He only got elected to the one term.
Like, when you suck that much and people are that pissed off with you, right? Like, honestly, if he would have, and it sucks to say as a human, but if Trump would have fucking made it so there's term limits, I would have fucking voted for this asshole. I don't care what he came up with. The fact is you made this happen. I would let your next 4 years run out just so we can get everybody else out of office. We can run the next 2 years, make it happen, and I'm going to see what happens, because I don't want the next asshole. I don't want, even if it was Biden that came and was like, yep, I'm getting rid of that, I would have been so pissed, right? Because I want to see what happens.
And the annoying thing is, and the electoral college.
But did Trump want to get rid of, he didn't want term limits. He wanted to get rid of term limits.
Correct.
Like, he literally wanted to be president until he died.
No. He hated the fact that Nancy Pelosi could be there for her life.
Not really.
I would have to look that up.
I know it was his people that follow him wanted to get rid of, because they wanted him basically to be president until he died.
Wait, that's
I
never
don't think it was. Well, I mean, the thing is, if he puts term limits in, he's got to. It's not just going to be Nancy Pelosi who's being gotten rid of. I mean, Mitch McConnell's going to be gotten rid of. You know,
we're hoping everybody, right? Like,
yeah.
And is David, you and I both agree that we love Booker.
Yeah,
I think Booker literally, but the problem is I wouldn't want him there forever, right? But I like where he is. I like his medium, like he's a middle ground kind of guy for who I am, right? He seems like a guy who I could go out and drink a beer with, right? And we would have an educated conversation. He'd go, you know what, Nick? You're wrong. Nick, you're right. Yep, this is what it is, right? And I think that's huge. Cory Booker is a guy who I can respect. Most
So-
other politicians never could do it.
I'm gonna jump in here. Nick is right. Trump did call for term limits.
Yep.
6 years for the House, 12 years for senators. But he also tried to negotiate a third term for himself before he even got a second term. So as usual with this fuckhead, he wants everybody else to have term limits, but he just wants to be president for the rest of his fucking life. I want to go back to Clinton for a minute here, since you don't really remember much of Clinton because you were born during Bush. In your lifetime, Nick, there's only been one Republican president in one election cycle that has ever won the popular vote. That was Bush against Kerry.
No, let's say Biden won popular.
I'm saying there's only been one
Republican.
Republican candidate since you
Oh,
have been
Republican.
alive.
Sorry, Republican, yeah.
Yeah, since you have been alive that has won the popular vote. That was Bush the second time. They lost it the first time.
Yeah. W, right?
Yeah. Trump
Which-
lost it both times.
Yeah. Because that was,
He
I
only
mean,
beat Kerry. But back to the Clinton thing for a minute here.
John Kerry?
Yeah, he beat John Kerry in the popular vote.
Right. And so
And he lost to Gore in the popular vote.
oh
But-
my god, go
back
on.
to Clinton for a minute here. See, these are the things that especially in the times we live in now get men in trouble. But I'm gonna say it. Bill Clinton was a great president and a horrible fucking human being. His policies did a lot of good. He lowered the deficit. He was able to balance the fiscal budget so that we weren't going over every year.
Mhm.
There were a lot of things that were passed that were very helpful for the United States. But as a person, he was a horrible fucking person. I mean, he was accused of sexually assaulting women many, many times. He used the presidency to prey on young, innocent women that didn't know any fucking better. And I don't give a shit if they're adults or not. They don't fucking, a 22-year-old is going to have a really hard time saying no to the president of the United States for literally anything they ask, whether it's a blowjob or not.
Dude, you ask me, right? Like, hey, I don't know how much money she made. The fact is again, it
It
goes
was an
back
intern. She didn't make shit.
exactly. It goes back to the hey, you want to make it up in this world? Here's where you go, sweetheart, right? And you know what? Like, I think Hillary, given the opportunity to leave him, would have had better chances. So that way she set the precedence, right?
Absolutely.
Like she would have said, hey, look, we don't stand for this. This is what women's rights are. We wouldn't be in the same spot today. Hillary would have won had
Yep.
she left him. And I
Yep.
like like you and I both agree. Clinton, because like I looked back because and Clinton did great things and Hillary stands behind these. And the problem is Hillary's like, hey, look, I love 98% of my husband. It's the 2% douchebag that I fucking hate. But I have to agree with everything that he does in life, except for, women, like other women.
Because I don't want to forget this, and my memory's not as good as it used to be. I have 2 baseball things I want to talk about before we get off of this episode.
Yeah,
So don't let me forget that.
2 baseball things.
You want me to do it now?
I mean, you might as well.
All right. So we'll take this break from our political conversation and move into baseball now on Bucks and Brews. So, did you hear about Pete Rose over the weekend?
No, but I'm hoping it's good news.
Well, you can hope in one hand and do something in the other and see which.
Well, I just shit myself. Okay, so
So, the Phillies were having a reunion of their World Championship team. I want to say 1980.
tell me they didn't invite him.
They invited him
All right.
and put a fucking microphone in front of his face. And a female reporter asked him something in regards to a 14-year-old that he raped, which I had never heard about.
oh,
Me neither.
It seems he settled some case. He's on a deposition where he admits that he raped a 14-year-old, but he thought she was 16.
Okay, thought you was 16. That doesn't make it better.
No,
Still prior to the age of consent.
but his answer to the female reporter that asked him the question was something to the effect of, "We're not going to talk about that, Toots," or
Oh,
something to
geez.
that effect.
So basically sexually harassing the woman.
Yeah, so he's just a fucking douchebag. And at this point, even
No
though
reason
he's,
for him not to be anymore at this
Well,
point.
at
It's not
this
like he's
point,
gonna
no.
get, it's not like they're gonna let him into the Hall of Fame all of a sudden.
no, and then he said something stupid like, "Oh, do you want me to apologize? All right, I'm sorry on 1,000 baseballs for you." Just an asshole. But
Well,
let's
which is sad because
Mhm.
Pete Rose should be in the Hall of Fame, or
Oh,
should. Now you're changing my mind, which pisses me off because
Yeah, because I felt the same way you did. He's one of the greatest hitters of all time. He should be in the Hall of Fame. Now I'm like, fuck that guy. He doesn't deserve to be in the Hall of Fame.
100%, right? Like,
And again,
just
it goes back to the Clinton thing. Clinton was a good president, shitty person. Pete Rose was a good hitter, shitty person.
yep. And right, like, and I don't know, like that sucks. All right, what's the second baseball thing?
This one's a much better one, and I have to look it up because I only remember 3 of these.
Barry Bonds was one of the greatest players, won more MVPs. Literally did the same thing that everybody else was doing during the PED thing. And other PEDs got into the Hall of Fame, but Barry Bonds didn't because
it's ridiculous that Ortiz got in and Barry Bonds isn't. I hate the fact that Bonds did.
Blows my mind.
I hate that he did steroids, but if what's his ass is in, if Ortiz is in, Bonds should be in.
Right. So tell me how Green gets in, right? Who was the sickest pitcher you and I have seen in decades, right? One of the greatest fucking sliders you and I have ever seen in our life, right?
Yep.
And all of a sudden, yep, this guy can't get in because, you know what? Granted, Barry Bonds was nothing for a long time. You and I both know that everybody tuned in to watch Sammy Sosa and fucking McGuire hit fucking dingers and go back to back and figure out which game. I watched
went to 10 fucking games that year.
Last quarter of the fucking season to see who's winning this. My grandparents and I had more bonding time watching both of those two in different games, and we spent nights and hours and days. Oh, did he hit one? Did he do that? Oh my God, yes! Like, oh, right? Like that was the greatest moments of our lives.
I think I remember all 5 of these.
Steroids? I don't care.
There are 5 father-son combinations that have hit 30 or more home runs in a season. Name them.
Griffey's.
Ken Griffey.
No.
Yep.
No.
Real.
Senior never hit 30 home runs in a year.
Prince Field.
Bonds. Barry
Hang on. One at a time.
Okay.
Nick?
The Bondses.
The Bonzes are correct. Barry and Bobby. Nick?
Fielder.
Fielders are right. Prince and Cecil.
A lose.
I thought that would be the tough one. But absolutely correct. Felipe and Moises.
Yep.
There's one more really hard one on this.
We said we have 2 more to do.
You have 2 more father-son combinations. I will give you one hint. Both sons are currently ball players.
What's that?
Both sons are currently ball players.
Oh, Guerrero.
Vlad Jr.
Yep.
And Hank Aaron and his boy.
Right.
Oh God. Yeah, Guerrero's. Sosa. McGuire.
I had a dad who. I'm trying to think of like good hitters.
Cabrera doesn't have a kid that's playing.
I'll tell you, it was not Sean Dunston. It's Sean Dunston Jr.
Oh, geez.
Joey Votto doesn't have it.
Let me know when you give up.
Cameron Maben, nope.
Well, I'm trying to think of who
Chipper Jones doesn't
was
have a
there.
boy.
Soto?
Who, Mike?
Soto?
No.
Okay, I thought there was a Soto from like 20 years ago too.
There probably is, but I don't think Juan Soto has it
Okay.
yet.
Okay. Well, no, I was talking about his dad.
Yeah, I
Oh.
don't think so.
Parrish,
Who?
Lance and Larry.
Nope.
Fuck.
Parrish.
I mean, I'll give you another hint. Mike hit on somebody that plays on the team with one of the people that he said.
What's that?
One of the people you said plays on the team of the person that did this.
One of the people I said.
Yeah.
I don't remember who I said. Soto, and I said.
I could give you a million guesses. I don't think either one of you ever.
All right, who you got, David?
Fernando Tatis and Fernando Tatis Jr.
No, never got it. Never.
The only thing I could have told you about
that the Alus would have been a hard one, the hard one to get.
They were hard, but the only thing I remember about Tatis Sr. was the 2 grand slams in an inning. And I know in like '99 he had a really good year with the Cardinals. I didn't know he had 30 home runs.
I just wondering how you thought. I mean, to me, like the Alus were like they were an entire family. Like Matty might have hit 30 home runs too.
Yeah, but there were other people I would have thought of way before the Alus. Like I would have thought the Alomars.
Oh, yeah.
Or maybe the Boones.
Yep. Oh, dude, the Boones. That was one.
That's actually one I was trying to think of. Was Brett and Aaron Boone.
Brett and Aaron, yeah.
Like I knew that the Bears weren't, because Del Barra never hit a lot of home runs and didn't play very long. But yeah, I thought that was a great trivia question. I heard that, and I'm like, I got to bring this up on air.
One of my favorite is the hockey question, right? So the what 2 brothers have the most goals in the NHL?
At least don't tell me it's Berets.
Nope.
Good. I don't want to think about one's wife.
It's Wayne and his brother Brent.
I mean, well, yeah, but at that point, it's just all his brother really has to do is have like a couple hundred, and he's gonna.
Nope. Wayne has the most, and then Brett scored 4. Yeah, say right, like, and he still has the.
He scored 4.
Yeah, I say, but no, like I look at this inflation. I wish Jim was still here. Sorry that he had to leave, but right, because there's so much to do with, and I like the fact that Jim has changed sides, because I can't say I have, right? It's funny because, all right, here's what's happening is Courtney and I, we are not the same. Okay. And Courtney will go, oh man, it felt dirty for me to vote Republican in this last election. I was like, fuck, I vote Republican more than most people think. But I vote for the Republican that's so more towards the center, because I want this center thing, right? Because you can have your cake and eat it too. You just got to have the right fucking people. You got to not have a Brett Kavanaugh in fucking office. Like, right? Like, you can't
have Mitch McConnell.
You can't have fucking Mitch McConnell. God damn it. You can't have Dallas guy.
Ted Cruz. Rafael
right,
Cruz.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Like, you can't have these people that are so against anything because they don't want the other person to win. Look, if you were like me in life, you want everyone to win and be successful.
But they're not. And the problem we have here is we've taken politics and turned it into fucking pro football.
100%. Right.
And they're just rooting for their side, and it doesn't matter what happens to the other side. I'm a Bears fan. When the Bears play the Lions, Nick and I don't talk. he doesn't want to hear me bitch about how his Lions suck, and I don't want to hear him bitch about how my Bears suck.
Yep.
When whatever team
Or
wins
more
on
than
Sunday,
anything, you don't want to hear each other bitch about how much your own team sucks.
well, that too.
Well, no, we actually usually do text each other during the negatives. Like, I can't
but
believe we dropped that pass.
we never come back, a day or two later and go, hey, your team sucks because my team won. We don't do that shit because,
Yep.
I mean, at the end of the day, we didn't do anything but watch them suck. Didn't have a goddamn thing to do with me. I didn't drop one pass.
Yep.
I've never lost a game for the Chicago Bears.
I've never thrown
You always lose games for the Chicago Bears.
Maybe, but I don't know about it.
Right? I say, I've never traded away fucking Golden Tate for nothing.
But I mean, at the end of the day, we have a decision we can make on who the fuck is representing us, and unfortunately, we make a lot of bad fucking decisions. And the memes go around all the time that I'm gonna get the numbers wrong. 87 million people voted for Biden, and 78 million people voted for Trump, and 150 million people didn't vote. And that's the fucking problem we have.
I give your friend, so the person we've had on this podcast, right?
Mm-hmm.
Betty's Pages.
Yes.
Did you see her TikTok about Georgetown Township?
I did.
Right. I'm so fucking proud of her, and I haven't texted her or Facebooked her. Right. She called out the 7,000 people that didn't vote.
Yeah.
And here's the funny thing, right? Here's the funny thing. One thing I will tell you is I actually voted against the fucking expansion of my library in the first place.
Okay.
And I'm the first to admit that, right? Because my library did what it was supposed to do. It was fine. It ran okay, right? Now they want to extend it, and I'm not going to tell you how I voted. Granted, but the fact is she called out the 7,000 and said, I hope it's worth it, right? And she goes, I hope it's worth it to know that you're fucking lost your funding for it. Right? Because one goddamn book that's out there, right? These Republicans, what's the number one things that you hear from these people?
They want to burn books.
Freedom of fucking speech, baby. I can tell you to go fuck yourself in any day.
Yeah, but the problem is they only want freedom of their own speech. They only want freedom of their own religion. They only want freedom to push their views on people.
Yep. I can't sit here. So, right, I can't sit here and look at you and go, hey, oh, you're gay, right? Because I'll get socked in the face. Granted, I'll do it because I'm a fucking big ass dude and taking punches before. But like, right? One book that they didn't want to pull off the shelves, and you're gonna sit here and cut my funding because I'm not gonna pull it. Like, and they pulled it. But the fact is right. I walk in and I've asked so much. I'm not the richest person here in Georgetown. I'm not the richest person in Jenison. I'm not the richest person in Ottawa County. But I have asked so many times, what can I do that will help to make sure that this happens, right? Because I want anybody and everybody to understand that they have full rights to learn anything they want, right? And my library is beautiful. I went not too long ago, and it's been built for 3 years. I finally walked inside, and I was like, wow, there's meeting spaces, there's this. There's so much I didn't know about. Okay, they have books on CD. I didn't know that. Like that's how uninvolved I am with the library because it's just a thing. But the fact is I will always support it for the kids, and I will always. Granted, you know this about me. I'm sitting here on my cell phone, which I might have to go get a phone charger. I don't have internet. I don't have cable, right? And so, I look at this and go, I need to understand that there's other people that are in the same community that I'm in that don't have internet or cable. And they offer free Wi-Fi. They have a hotspot that you can get for 2 weeks at a time for free. And I will gladly pay for that for any other person in this world. Hold on, David.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm gonna just bring people up to beat on what Nick was talking about there. So we have a small township just to the east of Byron Center, Jamestown Township, and they had a book on the shelf. It was Queer something. I don't remember the specific name. Queer something.
I don't remember the name of it either.
And some asshole objected to the book being there because they're indoctrinating kids to become gay, as if that's a fucking thing.
Yep.
So they decided not to pass the millage to keep the library running. So basically, they're going to run out of money, and they're probably going to have to close the library. And Nicole called out the fact that 7,000 residents didn't even bother to go fucking vote at all.
And you know what's going to happen if and when that library closes?
Those people are going to bitch and moan.
100%. And the other thing is, guess what's going to happen in my front yard?
No free library.
100 fucking percent. I'm literally going to line my entire life. I already have it planned out. I have so many people that have offered me fucking building material because I said, hey, I want to do. It's funny because David, you and I and your wife lost a friendship over a person, right?
Yeah.
Because I said, hey, just build it. It's not expensive.
Yeah.
I've had so many people say, hey, and I said, look, I want to fill my front yard with free libraries. And they're all like, let me know. And I was like, I got a couple of sheets of shingles. I got some wood. And people were like, hey, I got 4x4s. I got plywood. I got everything. Like, just build a random library, whatever. So yeah, the books might get whatever, but they'll get replaced. But my entire front yard, which the city, I've already looked into it. The city can't do a goddamn thing about it. Every fucking 3 feet is going to be a fucking library, and you're going to walk through my front yard. If that library closes, I promise you, I will have post hole digger out there digging fucking holes, and you're going to fucking laugh your ass off because there's going to be 40 fucking goddamn mini libraries out there, and I don't even care because who I am as a person. I will give other people fucking Wi-Fi, and I'll pay for that bill, even though I don't have Wi-Fi.
I'll give you some books for it.
Oh my God! See, right, like that. There it is, right? Like this
I'll be buying some queer books for it.
Well, I'll buy that Heartstopper series that my daughter likes for it.
So
I can give you 2 of the volumes in Danish.
I did a thing the other day, gentlemen.
Yep.
I found another clear the shelves, and this lady had said, "Huh."
Go on.
Yeah, this lady had basically said that, people have bought some of the cheaper items, but nobody will buy the more expensive stuff. So I hopped on there and I found something that was more expensive, and I sent that off to them from Bucks and Brews, and they got it the other day, and we got a nice shout out on Twitter for it.
Nice.
So that makes me feel good.
I tried to buy
do
things
those
that were
things.
more like, I bought like 3 or 4 things that were more in like the $15 to $20 range. I mean, I was going to go with like yeah.
Yeah, I was pretty happy with that. So,
I think, what pisses me off is the fact that my wife wants me to run for a local thing here in Georgetown.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like,
Sure.
You won't. And I said, that's absolutely true. And I said, I'll win. I'll run as a Republican. And she goes, no, the amount of stupid shit you've talked to people on Facebook, they're just going to call it out. And I said, please do, right? Because I'll screenshot the entire fucking goddamn thing. And it'll say the whole entire story. I'm not afraid to admit I've told people that they're dumb as shit for the things that they've thought.
Well, see, and I've had people say the same stuff for me. They're like, you have a lot of opinions, that you have some good ideas, you should run. I'm not electable.
Get back here and plug it in.
I couldn't have a normal kind. This is funny to watch.
What's that?
This is funny to watch.
What is?
You.
Oh, sorry. I'm telling my daughter to plug the cord in. It's back behind me.
So
and, I have to get a cord so I can run my cell phone. It's behind me. Go back that way.
So yeah, I couldn't run because I can't be nice. Nice is just not a possibility for me anymore.
Yeah, I could see you in a debate going, go.
Yeah, basically. I would. So, Mike, you remember my cousin Vinny?
Oh God, yes.
The
I was just
the opening
recording.
statement. Everything
I said-
that guy just said was bullshit. That'd be me.
That's a fact, right? I just asked Courtney. I said last night, literally last night. I said, "Have you ever seen the movie My Cousin Vinny?" And she goes, "Well, kind of, no." And I was like, "That's the problem. Like, you haven't seen the entire thing." I was like, "But the fact is like, right? I would just go straight to full fucking facts and show you how dumb you are as a person, right? Like, I would literally just throw it in your face and go, 'Oh God,' and and people are gonna go, 'Yeah, he's like that's a factual statement.'" Thank you, baby. Hey, everybody, you want to give a shout out to Emerson?
Hi, Emerson.
I understand.
Can you say hi to everybody? Hi. So Emerson is going to turn 7 on Thursday.
Happy birthday.
This Thursday, yeah, say 2 days from now. David might have it up on the day. So, but right, like I will, it just my cousin Vinny is one of those where it literally tells how this life is supposed to be. Like you look at the courtroom opening statements, and it's just people making up bullshit and thinking that people know what they're talking about. When in reality, we know more than you're ever gonna imagine about how things should actually be.
Well, the problem is we have to argue with idiots, and trying to get idiots to understand, basic things is so damn difficult nowadays. And I don't have the patience or the desire to educate in a good way.
Right.
I just go right to, you're a fucking moron. Shut up.
But like when you say it nicer than me.
Yeah, probably.
Because
Which is funny if you say that. So maybe what we need to do is I need to be the one who runs, and you guys just need to be my campaign managers.
Probably,
Oh my God.
yes.
Right. Like, oh, David, you and I for fucking Mike. Because Mike will say it in a nice way, and you and I would be like, fuck you, shut up. We could do this.
If only
We
the
can
three
make
of
Mike-
us did live in complete. Actually, Dave and I basically are.
Yeah, I
the
live in
same.
I live in your county, Mike.
Yeah.
think I won't buy a house down there just so I can vote for you.
Hey, by the way, Nick, I do have some business news.
Go on.
We will not be doing a show next Tuesday because Mike and I are going to go out and have a nice time.
A
You know
nice time.
Yeah. And I'd invite you to come, but your wife would kill you.
No, I'm allowed to go. I'm just not allowed to partake in what happens.
Well, if you want to come, we're going to go.
Okay.
Mike, you'll be there from like 4:30 to 5:30.
Wait,
Yeah,
you're
Mike will
going.
be there for an hour.
You're going real early.
We'll be
Because
there.
Mikey's can only be there for like an hour.
Yeah, we want to see him, and he can only be there for an hour, but we'll be there a long time.
Yeah.
Does the place start with an A or does it start with a?
It starts
A.
with an A.
Oh, I'll be there.
It's
That's-
on Kings Highway.
Yeah, that's near. It's not Glenwood. What's the place called? Galesburg.
Yeah, you take that road that would take you there. Yes.
So
I will,
before
let me know.
before I do that, I'm stopping at the county clerk's office in Kalamazoo.
For
I'm gonna get my notary.
Yay!
my notary stuff is literally sitting in my car. I have my bond. I just haven't submitted anything.
Dude, just do it.
Nope. I gotta figure it all out.
Easiest thing in the world.
Ottawa County is just so far away.
Those Kalamazoo.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna have a 50-minute drive down there, but
I do
Yeah, but
work.
you got reason to be there.
I do have
I don't-
reason to be there.
I do work in Ottawa County.
Mike and I are going to the club, and we are not buying filet mignon because they don't fucking have it anymore.
No, but I Angus steak.
Yeah.
I'll eat pot stickers.
So anyways, we've dissected this quite a bit here. Any last thoughts on the Inflation Reduction Act of 2022,
Yeah.
gentlemen?
So, all right. So inflation, right? It's going to be a constant thing that we're going to always deal with, right? So when you look back, generation is generation is generations. Inflation becomes a big thing, right? And then it smooths itself out because supposedly the government fixes it, right? But it's not the government that fixes it. It's the people that refuse to do things that fixes it, right? The government just says, hey, this is the thing that we're going to do to fix it. And so then it comes back, it does the same thing, it comes back, it does the same thing. One of two things is going to happen. We're either going to have something that crashes everything and they go, oh, fuck, we got to try to get ourselves back up. Or it's going to stay its track and it's going to continue to go for higher amounts of money for cost of everything. And it'll take a longer period of time to slowly bring things back together. Right? Housing prices dropped back in 2010, right? 2008, technically. Like when housing prices went down to like 3%, 2%. I know people with a 1.9, right? So now we're in 2022, which is literally 12 years later. It took that long to get that low. Let's say 2011 it stopped. I don't care if you don't count this year, right? So it took 12 years to get there. If something catastrophic happens, like a 9/11, like a terrorist attack, like us going to war with Russia over Ukraine, anything like that, okay, it'll bring us down. And so we'll go back to a cycle. But I will tell you that no matter what, in history, it's proven that it will always work itself out. Stay your course. Make sure you're doing your investments. Yes, you'll lose some money along the way, but you will gain farther in life. And the biggest thing is remember that your life is longer than what a historic memory or tragedy is.
Well,
and you lose everything, everybody else lost everything. And yes, you think that the amount isn't true. There's the guy that didn't do something, right? Like, so just stick with it and make it happen.
well, and this is not going to be a huge recession that's going to come. It's not going to be 2008, 2009.
We're already in it. It's a very low
We are.
and nobody's it yet.
Yeah, it's a tiny recession. It's probably not going to get real bad. Stay the course.
Here's the thing. So technically it's really bad, right? If you look at the numbers, it's shit. So just a year and a half ago, people were paying on average $24,000 over for a house.
Mhm.
Okay. What do you think the average is now?
I couldn't even guess.
It's actually the average over asking for a house is only $8,000. So people are still offering over on average. Yes, some are going lower, some are doing whatever. That's why it's called an average. And people don't understand average because they feel like, oh, somebody lowballed me. No, this is an average. You're the average. Your house is average. Nothing you did was big. But it was 24,000 beforehand. Now it's actually down to 8,000. It's a year and a half later. People are talking about recession. People are talking about inflation a hell of a lot more. We hit this in normal. This is the idea is to make what we have now a normal, right? So you're not offering above asking, you're not offering below asking, you're offering normal. This is asking, this is what it's worth, this is what I'm paying. Don't make it below, don't make it above, make it a normal. And you'll understand that literally if you keep track with that, it's a matter of how you offer it, how you present yourself, and that's where sales comes into place, right? So if you have an agent that just says, hey, this is where we need to be. So on those types of things, right? I remember going to the bread store as a kid and being able to buy fucking those dollar pies like
Yep.
for $1. Now I can only buy like 4, right? But like
I remember they were 50 cents.
Right. And so look at this and understand that what they want to do is they want to make what you understood. And it's horrible to look backwards 2 years, right? Because nobody remembers that. What you remember 2 years ago, they want that to be the normal for the next X amount of years. And it takes time to make 2 years ago become the normal. Because you couldn't make it normal because they had to have a plateau, they had to have a top, and then you plateau and you go down a little bit. And you want to make that go as long as possible. Because as long as possible makes you comfortable, it makes you understand where you're at. It's going to go lower, it's going to go higher, it's going to do these random things. But really, just stick to what the hell you know you're supposed to do as an investor, the person with your money.
Well, and talking about housing right now, so the house directly to the north of us, smaller than ours, got put on the market
Wait,
a couple weeks
I
ago.
don't have directly north. I know you have like north left and north right. I don't think you have one directly north.
Yeah, directly north. So when you're looking at my house, the one to the right of us,
Oh, to the right of you.
that would be north.
Isn't that sell? Oh, if you're looking at your house.
If you're
so
looking
no,
at my house,
not the crazy neighbor. Okay, so
you're
yeah.
right.
Yep.
So I saw that it went up. I got a hold of Scotty and I'm like, hey, what do you know? So he did some digging for me because it wasn't listed yet. Found out it was going up for $279,000 and offers were due. Let's see, I talked to him on the Friday, the last Friday of the month, and offers were due by Tuesday, which would have been last Tuesday.
Okay.
Still showing it. I'll tell you, Nick, they bought that house 18, I want to say, for 189,000.
Okay.
I'd pay 200 for it.
Offer
That's where
it.
I'd end.
Offer it.
I might.
Because everything in your area will rent for 23 to 25.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Well, I told Dawn if we get it, we'll move Caitlin, her roommate, and Anna in. We'll sell the condo.
Yep.
And then put a hot tub in the garage.
And put a hot tub in the garage.
Yep.
So yeah, I thought that was interesting, and it fed into where housing prices have gone.
No, and so I mean $70,000 hit is tough, but if they're saying so at this moment of life, you have a realtor that's behind times.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Because I think that setting an offer deadline means that they're drawing in more people. That's like you're back 6 months ago, and welcome to reality, where really that's not how it is, right? Like it is. Hey, throw me an asking offer or 5K below, and you're gonna get it, right? And honestly, like if you're going 200, throw the fucking offer in. Don't be that guy who doesn't do it, because really, who knows if they're in foreclosure? They bought it for 189. If you're the only offer at 200, they're going to go, oh shit, we didn't do something. They're going to make two decisions. One, they're either going to improve it and try to make it better and then get more money out of it, or B, they're going to take your offer because they can't afford the house. They're in foreclosure. They lost their jobs. They did something. That's what you need to do, right? Like, and that's like, it sucks to say. It sucks for them. It sucks anything.
Even then, with the market dropping, I mean, are they offering that much? Are they requesting that much? Because maybe when they bought it in 2018, they were stupid and had a higher, interest rate, and they're like, oh my God, we need to make our money back or whatever. Maybe they still owe $250,000 on it.
They bought it for 189.
Yeah. But I'm saying, but maybe their interest rates were so high that
they could have a HELOC against. No, 2018, the interest rates were low as shit.
Yeah, they were low.
But like, they could have a HELOC against it. They could have. But really, honestly, if you don't talk to Scotty and tell him, hey, I want you to throw a $200,000 offer in, and then people tell you to go after yourself, like if you don't hear go after yourself, that means you got potential, right? So go to 210, like figure it out. Like if they don't hear anything, and here's where I play the dick move game, right?
Mhm.
Like you're still showing, which means you don't have the offer you want. I play the fact of you need to get back a hold of my agent and tell him why, what, where, when, how, right? Like, you need to do this, right? 3 W's and an H. That's what I tell people all the time. Who, what, where, when, why, how, right?
Mhm.
Like, so 4, right? Or sorry, 5 W's and an H.
It's always been
Like-
5 and it's always been 5 and an H.
Yeah, you think I know grammar? I don't care. Say who, what, where, when, why, how, right? Like,
Right.
and so I throw the offer in. I throw the offer in all day, every day. And it,
Oh.
honestly, David, write it up as cash. 200 on the dot, like cash. And you're gonna go, I don't have cash. Yes, you do. Like literally between me, Mike, and you, we have cash. Like I'm lending $100,000 tomorrow. So right, like throw it out there, cash, 100% close as fast. And I always write these words. Close as fast as title can get the fucking things pulled, right? Because I'm not
Yep.
gonna pay your anything.
So before we head off into our own things here, were you able to send the stickers and stuff out to that guy?
My answer is I think so. I put them all in envelopes addressed. Courtney says she had a stamp in her car. Whether she addressed it or whether she put the stamp on it and put it in the mailbox, I'm not sure. I haven't looked at my kitchen table in a while.
Our viewer on Twitch said it's a trap. Don't borrow from him.
If it was money, it'd be different. But I put in a magnet, a sticker or 2, and a button for pops and pennies.
Awesome.
So
And any of you people out there listening, watching, whatever, if you want some Bucks and Brews stuff, just get a hold of us. You can email us or go to bucksandbrews.com.
Yep.
It's got all our content stuff on there.
We're glad to send anything out there. So
Mike, you got any last thoughts?
Not really.
Did you have anything to drink tonight? Because you're running a little late, so we didn't get to ask.
I had a couple of the NA Untitled Arts. One is a Florida Weiss. It's actually pretty good. It's got a sour to it. So
Yep.
I don't know what fruit they throw into it, but it's very good. The same one I had an Italian style Pilsner, which was a little hoppier than I would have preferred. And then I ended with an actual one that actually has some alcohol in it, but it's the Distill, which I know we love the Distill.
We do.
They have a wild sour series. This was just a Here Goes Nothing.
Another scam call, Nick?
it was actually. It was from Ohio.
Oh, nice.
I should have answered it.
All right, give him your normal, dude.
Thank you so much for listening to us. Like, subscribe, share, tell your friends, tell your family. We appreciate it. I want to thank Founders and KBS for the hazelnut variant and oatmeal cream pie from Pigeon Hill out in Muskegon.
Sure.
It was great.
Thank you for all the questions online. We were happy to answer how many of them we could. And we'll be back either Monday or Wednesday next week, since Tuesday's out. We got stuff going. Other than that, we'll talk to you guys soon.
Take care.
You've dialed in to Bucks and Brews. You might hear something you can use, like tips on your cash or tips on the suds. You're gonna want to use the smarts of these stuff, cause they know the brews, and they know the Bucks, and they know they can't help the stubborn fucks. So listen up, cause shit's not funny. And save yourself some beer money. Bucks and Brews.
Bucks and
Bucks
Brews.
and Brews.
Bucks and Brews.